Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in today. Welcome back to Option Forward. We're always joined by some amazing guests. But before I get into our amazing guests today, I want to say what's up to our co-host, GQ Nesto. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Energetic, ready to get this cracking. You know what I mean? Blessed to be out here. So yeah, let's get this popping. Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have that I would say get out of jail free card today, right? So a lot of times there's the behind the scenes, the legal aspects to things as far as, especially in the entertainment industry, and we got somebody who will provide some insight on that. And I want to just let her introduce herself because I don't want to murder her name, all right? But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Was it Jennine?
Jennine.
Hey, I got it right.
Yes, you did.
All right. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm good. We're good. How was your drive over here?
It was an hour coming this way with traffic, but it was fine.
Okay.
Not too crazy.
What were you listening to on the way over?
I was listening to the Little Baby single, and then Babyface Ray. What else? The new Hobbies album.
Okay, no, I know who that is.
Your car was cracking.
Yeah, it was. It's really good.
Well, tell the listeners and the viewers a little bit about yourself. I know you got a legal background, but I don't want to explain something that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So I'll let you do that. So what's your background and what do you do?
So my background is I'm from Finland originally. I moved out here to LA 12 years ago, but I'm half Finnish, half Nigerian. I went to school out here, so I went to college out here, and then I went to law school. Took the bar, passed on my first try, and then I've been practicing for about 5 years now. I started in a large law firm. I moved to a boutique entertainment firm, and now I'm on my own doing entertainment and business law.
Okay. And so how was the bar? Like, how many questions? What are we looking at here? What's the time frame?
Did you study?
Yeah. Did you bring it?
I studied my ass off. You can't take the bar without studying. So we graduated in May. The bar is in July. The bar is held twice a year. And you study basically from the day after graduation until the bar, which is about 10 weeks. So I started studying literally the day after my graduation. My family was in town. I did my prep course. Studied for 10 weeks, like 8 hours a day probably, and didn't see my friends or anyone, but took the bar and passed it. The bar I took the first 2-day bar exam. So the bar used to be 3 days, and then they switched it to 2 days with a more compact schedule. I took the bar and passed it. Luckily, didn't have to worry about it again because it was brutal. I'm not gonna lie, like it's a very hard exam.
So what was your first thought? Like as soon as you passed it, like what was like the first thing that popped in your mind? Obviously.
I was so stressed out because so you take the bar in the end of July, you don't get the results back until November, mid-November. So you're like in this limbo stage for what is it? Almost 4 months. Oh my God. Like 3.5 months where you're like, I was working as a law clerk, but they can't even hire you as an attorney because they don't know if you're going to pass the bar. So you're a law clerk, or some people, they take the time off to, travel or whatever. But you're in a limbo stage and you don't know if you passed, if you have to start studying again right after you get the results back, which happens to a lot of people. So it's a pretty stressful time. I was crying like the whole day before I even knew whether I was going to pass or not. I'm not a crier, but I was just like so stressed out because it's like you've been going to school for 7 years, right? Then you study for 2 months nonstop. You take the bar, and now you're like the fate is in like someone else's hands, and you have to go on this computer screen, put your information, or you like put your information, and you see if you've passed, like if you're on the list, basically. So it's a pretty crazy day for everyone who takes the bar exam.
Was there like a plan B if you didn't pass?
The plan B is for most people to take it again.
Okay.
I know people who have taken it 6 times. I know people who have taken it 3 times. 7 times, 5 times.
So you just knew you're like, I'm passing this, like one way or another.
That was my goal, and I feel like I did prepare a lot. So I was like, I kind of became obsessed with the bar. Like I was listening to podcasts, and I was just doing like everything I could to pass the bar. So I didn't really see friends or anyone. Like I went out like twice in that 2.5 month period, probably for like 4th of July, Memorial Day or whatever. But I was just studying. I was at home, getting massages, getting my like meals delivered. Like I was just like super structured, and I was like, I have to pass. I don't want to do this again.
So you mentioned you're very that you were like, you have that sassiness, and you just knew you were gonna be a lawyer. At what age was that you were just like, this is where I'm gonna be, and then you just basically manifest it to reality? It's
so funny you should say manifestation, because I literally did manifest it into reality. I was about 15, I want to say. And I always make this joke like, oh, I watched Legally Blonde and I was like, I'm going to be an attorney. But that wasn't exactly how it went. But so my mom was an immigration attorney. She doesn't practice law anymore. She works for the government. But I would see her help a lot of people like in the immigration space. And I was like, I want to help people. I love what she does. She impacts a lot of lives. So I always saw that. I was like, you know what? I want to be an attorney. But I didn't know exactly what type of law I wanted to practice. I was into like human rights law before, and just like helping individuals. So that was kind of where my thinking was. And I just like that movie, like ironic, like just, was a little push, like, damn, like it's, I can be a powerful woman.
If she can do it, like, you know what I mean? This is good.
She made it look so easy.
Right.
And she wore pink. You know what I mean?
But I was always like super like girly and kind of like sassy and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Argumentative. People say that I'm argumentative. I'm like, I'm just straightforward. So I always had that nature of like being a go-getter and just being ambitious. And I was like, I'm going to be an attorney. And then, like years later, I went to law school.
Nice.
So you said you started off working for another practice, and now you're doing your own, like as far as the independent thing. What made you transition to that point? Was it something that you saw when you was working for a corporation or organization or wherever you want to call it, where you was like, nah, I need to branch out on my own? What caused that transition?
So when I started out, I was working in litigation. So I externed for a judge while I was in law school, worked for a couple of firms. And I wasn't clear of if I wanted to start out in entertainment or if I wanted like a more general experience first. So my law school really pushed us to go after our dreams, but also like get a more broad experience first and then, get a specific niche. So I felt like, okay, let me get a more general experience. So I worked in business litigation. I worked for a firm. We did litigation. I did business and IP matters, intellectual property. And I just knew that I wanted to do entertainment. So I did some entertainment work before law school. And everyone was like, you need to do entertainment. You need to do entertainment. I was like, yeah, I'll get to that. So after a few years of doing litigation, business litigation, I was like, you know what? I think it's time. So I went to a boutique entertainment firm that specialized in music. And that was kind of like the confirmation, like, yeah, this is what I need to be doing. I was there and I started having clients on the side just because of all my friends and all my people are in entertainment. So they would always refer people to my firm or to me. And I just started getting more clients, and I was like, you know what? I think I can do my own thing. It makes sense. I have the experience now. I have the confidence. So I've been on my own full time for about 2 years, but I started about 4 years, 4 years ago.
So like, what is it? One of those the hardest things that you've gone through, obviously, coming to LA and then being a woman, being in the law industry. What are some hurdles and stuff that you've encountered throughout the process that kind of made you grow as a person, an attorney, all that?
I definitely would say like you mentioned, being a woman and stuff. I feel like that's one hurdle. Mm-hmm. Like law is definitely a male dominated industry still. I've been blessed to work with a lot of amazing women partners in the industry, but it's still a very male-heavy industry. So like at my old law firm, or my first law firm, it was, probably like 70% men, 30% women. And I feel like as a woman in this industry, you have to work harder to prove that you're, I wouldn't say worthy, but that you have the, credentials or experiences. And, we have the same experiences and credentials as our male counterparts, but sometimes we'll just have to work a little bit harder to be taken seriously. And I know that myself and a couple other women in the industry are definitely trying to change that, because I feel like even with like what you wear or how you talk or how you present yourself, like women are looked looked at as, oh, you're not professional. But if a man would be doing the same thing, they wouldn't be looked at.
Do you feel like there's some biased way? Like, for example, like you could be looking good, but if you were looking like a Karen, then you would probably, and that's kind of messed up to say it, but like, but if you were looking raggedy, like, will your credibility be higher versus getting your hair did, everything you did? You know what I mean?
Most definitely. So I wouldn't even say Karen, but like a little mousy vibe, like, for example, right, when I was in my first year of law school, the career counselors are like, oh, when you go to interview with a judge, most male judges prefer skirts, like skirt suits. So sometimes they're better to wear, like, it's better to wear a skirt suit.
Who the hell put that rule?
I don't know. And it's like funny because I feel more confident in a pantsuit. So it's like, obviously a skirt suit is more feminine, but then it's like, okay, your skirt has to be past your knees, wear like pearl earrings if you can, a pearl necklace, a nice collar shirt, no perfume, hair in a low bun if you can. Like it's all these like arbitrary rules that are so dated. And it's just like times are changing. Like we can't live based on those rules. And who came up, like you said, who came up with those rules? So I feel like, yeah, it's definitely like if you dress very down and toned down, you'll be taken more seriously. I don't feel like it should be like that.
No, hell no. Like, can you like get on strike or do something? Like, you know what I mean?
But you know what? I feel like it's like literally it's like the new generation's duty kind of to change that. So I feel like there's, myself, a lot of attorneys who are on Instagram and who are posting their personal lives. Like it's for us to change the narrative of, like you can look good and be professional at the same time. Like you don't have to dress down to be taken seriously.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
Kim K is changing that too. Like she's
no, you did
on her career of becoming an attorney. And
how do you feel about that? Now that you brought that up, what are your thoughts on that? On that whole process?
Well, to me, like taking the whole baby bar, and all of that is a little different. I would say that it's definitely not
cheating.
Is it respectable,
right?
I wouldn't say it's like, I would say the traditional route is more respectable. I don't know if she's cheating because it's like, okay, she has 4 kids and she wants to be an attorney. There's a different way. California, lawmakers allowed that, so it's one of the routes to get there. But I would say, yeah, it's a different route. But I like what she's doing in like the business space and just showing people that it's she's in her 40s. I think so it's like there's different ways to get to the same goal if you work hard enough.
All right. Now you touched on dealing, especially with entertainment industry, you deal with intellectual property, right? Me creating a viral TikTok, is that intellectual property? How does that work? How can I protect myself?
So with TikTok and like the social platforms, it's a little difficult because, for example, on Instagram, like you'll kind of sign your rights away in a certain sense. So if you can't make an Instagram or TikTok video and own the rights because the platform owns the rights and you're licensing your rights to them in a way. But if you create content and copyright it and then post it, then you have more protection. But if you're just posting it on a social media platform, then yeah,
you give up those rights,
those
little tiny words.
They'll, it can be reposted, it can be used in different contexts. So it's you are giving up your rights. But I feel like it's kind of the give and take of it because you're posting a video, it can go viral. You'll get some benefit of it. The platform is benefiting of it. So it's give and take.
And I know we went back, so I want to make sure I want to understand. I know we were conversing through email, right, as far as trademarks, and you was like, no, like that's kind of like the same thing. So trademarks, intellectual property, financial benefit. Can you explain what I got wrong?
Yeah, and you'd have to tell me the exact language, but I think you had posed a question that said, is it better to like trademark or license intellectual property? But those aren't opposites. So intellectual property holds, like it's a bigger umbrella of trademarks and copyrights. So intellectual property is all of these things. So basically trademarks and copyrights fall under intellectual property. You can license both copyrights or trademarks. So they're not like polar opposites in a way. So it's not better to trademark or license because you can license trademarks. So you can own trademarks and then you can license them out. And usually you'll license copyrights out. So you'll own the copyright to something, like say it's music or artwork, and then you'll license it for use.
And how does what is the financial play though? Like, so am I say, hey, if you using what I created, I want like 20%, 30% of your revenue, your annual revenue. How does that work?
So it's more beneficial to own the intellectual property. So say you own your copyrights to whatever you've created, right? It could be music, it could be artwork. You own the copyright to it, so now you can license it to companies. So say you're creating a deal with a company and they're trying to get your intellectual property. If you try to retain it, say you're a designer, fashion designer, whatever, you're working with a company, they want to own the IP. But if you're trying to negotiate and you're like, I want to own the IP, you'll usually take less money. If you give the company the IP, then they'll give you more money and you'll have the license to it. You can use it in specific scenarios, but you're giving up the rights. So you can't go back 5 years later and be like, hey, well, I want to use it for this other purpose. I want to use the, designs I made for example, like Gucci. Whatever I designed for you, I now want to, you guys didn't use it, I want to use it for Louis. You can't do that if you give up your intellectual property rights. Mm-hmm. Now, if you license it to the company, you'll probably get paid a little bit less, but you still retain those rights where now you can still have a separate deal with a different company.
And the licensing is based off of time, so I'll allow you to license this for about 5 years, and then after that, I can do what I want with it.
Exactly. So it's like it can be unrestricted licenses, restricted. It can be perpetuity. It's just like it depends on what you're trying to do and like what the company wants. But it's there's different type of licenses. It's exclusive, non-exclusive. So yeah, it just really depends on the deal.
What about with all these new things coming out, like NFTs, all these different types of scenarios? How does is the law easy to apply to these type of scenarios, or it's more complex?
So not at all, because NFTs and all the stuff in the metaverse, it hasn't been decided upon yet. Right. So in the next 1 to 2 years, we'll see what the lawmakers want to do in that space. But since everything is still new and fresh, we don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know if you guys heard about the Hermes lawsuit with the Birkin NFTs that were created in the metaverse. The company that created them, they don't own the IP to the Birkin. Obviously, the Birkin was designed by Hermes, but they're using it in the NFT space and selling it. Hermes sued them, but we won't know what's going to happen in the lawsuit until a year from now, maybe even 2 years. And that will be a big landmark case, probably with determining what people can do in the fashion space and with NFTs belonging to fashion houses.
Do you think they're probably going to settle and just call it a day?
I don't know, because it's such a new area, and I feel like Hermes is such a reputable big brand, so they definitely want to protect their IP and their ownership of the Birkin bag. So I don't see them just settling out, and I don't see the other company paying Hermes crazy amounts to settle. So I think we're going to see the lawsuit to the end.
And that's kind of
hopefully
one of the things that you like moving forward. It's going to design a new way of going about these special cases. It is,
because right now, so it's clear in the sense that if you own the IP to something, you can then create it in the metaverse, and you can make NFTs. But if you're just licensing it, that's like the gray area. We don't know what's going to happen with it. So if you have a license, you couldn't you couldn't modify that in reality. But since NFTs are a new space, we just don't know what's going to happen yet. And companies are selling NFTs and creating them, knowing that lawsuits are going to take a while, so they might make a lot of money, and then they'll worry about the lawsuits later on.
Take care of it on the back end.
Yeah.
So would you suggest for the average, the Joe or Betty or know what I'm saying, Karen, right? If you're putting stuff out there in the metaverse and NFT world, should you try to get your stuff licensed and taken care of legally before you even do that, so
yes.
somebody won't take advantage of you?
Yes, yeah. So as an example, I have a client, we negotiated his ownership in a design that he made for a big company, and he can make an NFT out of it because he owned it, and it's a really big company, but because he owns it, he can use it. He can make an NFT out of it. If he had licensed it, what the company initially wanted, he couldn't do that. They would for sure come after him. So it's, if you own the IP, you're good.
Damn.
That's a lot of money right there.
That's pretty dope. So when it comes to we're definitely interested in like obviously like film and television production. When it comes to that kinds of stuff, and you're setting up in, I seek your advice or your counsel for brokering a production deal. Who determines like the composition rates? How does it, like every time this gets aired, I want this. Like, where is that determined? Is it like, yo, if you're a newbie, like I'm gonna take advantage of you, right? You ain't gonna get that much. So how does that work?
So I'd say with whether it's a production company, record label company, like structuring a brand deal, it's always the company looking at the talent and seeing, are you, like you said, are you a newbie? What have you done in the space? What are you creating? So it depends, what are you trying to do? Is it a documentary that you're going to shop on Hulu or Netflix? Like what is a project? So everything is based on like industry standards for different projects. But yeah, it's typically the production company would structure the deal and then give you the rates based on what they see your value as, the projected numbers for whatever production you're making out, and industry standards, like I said.
All right. How many times can you recall a time or like, say somebody came to you for your counsel and they didn't listen to you? And then they got the raw end of the deal. How many times had that happened? Or tell us a little bit about that. Because we want to know, should we be listening to you? Because I know you got, like.
That happens a lot. And I feel like a lot has to do with kind of, not seeing the value of like legal or business up front. So a lot of people will come to me and they'll be like, hey, I have this business idea. What should I do? And I'll tell them. And then they go and try to do it on their own. Like say, as an example, I had a manager. She had a new talent. She like got a template from Google or whatever, I don't know, from online. And I'm not saying all templates are bad, but sometimes you just don't know what you're getting when you're like Googling for a template or getting something online. So she got a template. She made this crazy contract, and it messed it up for the artist. It was just a really bad situation. So she comes back to me like 6 months later, and she's like, "Oh, I need you to fix this." And it's frustrating because I'm like, you could have saved so much money and energy and time by just doing it the right way.
The first time.
Yeah, and I have a lot of clients like that. And sometimes I'm like, okay, cool, I'll fix it. Sometimes I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't even get into it because it's just got too crazy. But it is something about just like doing it right the first time. So like if you're starting out a company, if you're a new artist, like just get it done right in the beginning rather than like trying to do something on your own or hiring someone who's like not a lawyer, which happens too. Like someone will hire a friend to do a document and it's missing like the most pivotal part of it. So I had another client who sent me the NDA that she's using and she got, screwed over a little bit because she sent an NDA out. It didn't have the right thing. So whatever third party started using her ideas. They took her ideas, created whatever she was trying to create, and you can't protect ideas. But if you have an NDA in place, at least you have some type of protection. You can go after them in court. You can sue them and collect damages. But this NDA didn't have a damages clause. And that's like one of the main things in an NDA. So I'm just like, where did you get this NDA? And it was
Office Depot.
Right. And I was just like, no, like, please, you'll save money in the long run by just doing it right the first time around.
I think a lot of times, I mean, he's had a lot of dealings, not putting your business, but he deals with lawyers.
I should have been a lawyer. Yeah, that's what he's saying. I should have been a lawyer, but yes.
But no, like I think it's the rate. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like you charging me $100 just to get on the phone. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of discourages a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Because oftentimes, what they say it's a thing. It's ghetto until it's accepted by society. Like, you know what I'm saying? Gucci, Louis, or the way we rock our clothes.
So glad you brought that up.
It's so ghetto
glad you brought that up.
until you see one of the Kim K wearing it or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Box braids or whatever it is. So a lot of times those ideas, those $1 million, those beneficial ideas come from the inner city, the urban communities. But I know if I got to reach out and I got to talk to you, it's going to cost me some money. And I don't even got no money. So what's a way around that? Or is there?
No, that's such a good way. I mean, that's such a good point that you bring up because, so that's actually kind of what motivated me to start my own thing and really like help talent and help new creatives. Because while I was at my firm, one of my, not the previous one, but the first one, I had a lot of talent coming to me like referred to by friends, and I would obviously take the phone call for free. I'm working at a firm, whatever. I'll give you a 15-minute call. and they would like be so clueless about what they were doing, and they didn't have a large legal budget. So I would work with these people because I had a salary coming in. I was like, you know what? I'll work with you for X amount. Like once you get paid, give me, a smaller fee. And that's what motivated me, because I saw that a lot of people, they don't know where to go, and they also don't have the budget. But now that I'm on my own, I kind of see how people, value attorneys or accountants or whatever. I will say that you'll end up paying more if you don't pay that $100 for the call or $500 to draft an agreement. And it's just like the more I'm in the industry, the more I see it and the more stories I hear. And I will say it's worth it, because even say you're not you haven't started out anything, but you have the idea. You have $100 for going out, or you have $100 to, go get your hair done. And that's why you mentioned the Gucci and Louis. I'll talk to people and they're like, oh, like, can I get a discount, or can I, pay a lesser fee? But then I see you.
Look at your purse.
I like Noble at a $500 dollar dinner. So I'm like, it's all about priorities. Because if you're starting a business, put the money into the business. Most people want to put the money into inventory or marketing or whatever. But having your business set up right is, if not as important, if not more important, as important. So I would say make the, get the budget for it. Like put the budget aside for that $100 call. And I would say it's worth it, honestly. I'll do, now I charge for consultations, but I feel like I'm giving you value that's going to propel your business, and it'll be worth it in the long run. So I don't know if there's ways around it, but there's attorneys like myself who will work with you and like try to work with your budget.
So I can't like wash your car a couple of weekends in a row.
It's like, no. I don't know if you have the expertise to wash a car, but no. So like, I will say I do barter deals with some people. So I have, friends, like I have a friend who does marketing, and he'll help me out with certain things. Like he worked with a big marketing agency before. He'll give me some really good game, and then I'll be like, okay, cool. I'll draft this document for you, like whatever, separation agreement for you. And like, we'll do barter deals. I'll do barter deals with like individuals who I feel like it makes sense. So I don't know about the car wash, but if you have like, coming in the studio or something, yeah, definitely. I'm like always willing to work with people.
So everything like you're saying sounds like a really long day. So what do you do?
Thank you.
What do you do on like, let me just chill? Like what's your hobbies? What's something that kind of presses that reset button from that long day?
Well, I like to travel a lot, but obviously I can't travel as much as I'd like to. But that really like, relaxes my mind and gets me unwind. But on like a regular week or day, I like to get massages. I try to work out, hike. I'll go meditate, like in Malibu, stuff like that. Just like kind of unwind and relax and.
So you fancy, huh? You fancy. She's like, you know what, Malibu, you know what I mean?
Well, Pacific Palisades. There's like this little like hill in Pacific Palisades where I'll like just go and meditate and just journal, unwind a little bit.
Any like holistic or anything approaches that you do to kind of make your body feel at ease and just kind of chill?
Well, is meditation holistic? So I'll like meditate. I was really into yoga before the pandemic happened. I'll like do manifestation rituals. I'll do sound baths.
Do you do like do you have a bunch of notes for yourself like in the when you wake up in the morning, like what's a ritual? You said manifestation, so you got to put them out there.
So I'm very into manifestation. And I wake up, I try not to look at my phone right away. Like my alarm goes off obviously, but I'll just like light a candle or do a little breath work, pray, really like set my intentions for the day and manifest and like figure out how I want my day to go, and then I'll start my day. And I usually work out in the morning, so I'll go to my
any
gym.
Sage, any of that? Yeah.
Sage, incense, all of that. I'm very into crystals, so I have my little.
I could see why your aura seems very calm and especially for an attorney. Like usually they're very aggressive. I could see like you can get there, but you're very in tune with yourself, and I think that's pretty cool.
Or maybe this is just podcaster.
No, you're right. I feel like you're definitely reading. I'm an Aquarius, so I'm like very calm and chill. I'm like
shit.
What is it?
Oh shit! Like now I'm scared.
I'm like chill 90% of the time, but that 10% is very aggressive.
You live in your world. You live in your world.
So yeah, that 10% is very aggressive, but the 90% of the time is very chill.
Oh damn.
What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? I mean, 'cause it's like this is not. I mean, it's something that I wanted to do as a kid was practice law,
Oh, okay,
right?
cool.
But it's not something that you just wake up. You know what I'm saying? That's not common to hear somebody say, you know what, I want to be an attorney. Like that. So what keeps you going? Because I know you face a lot of challenges, you know what I'm saying, especially on your day-to-day, dealing with difficult people or difficult outcomes. You know what I'm saying? You done everything that you thought was right and it still didn't turn out the way. So what are you doing to keep yourself like grounded?
Well, keep myself grounded, I would say like the praying and meditation stuff. But what keeps me going is just working with dope individuals. So now that I do have my own practice, I feel like I just attract really cool people who are doing big things in the industry, and just like seeing them being game changers and create amazing stuff or get great deals that I can help them with. Like that keeps me going, just like helping individuals really and creatives. Because coming from the company where like I would represent huge companies, and it was more to like save them money, you know, like we'd try to do risk management and make sure that they're saving money on like litigation. It's a different mindset because it's like, okay, working for a large company that is not really affected that much versus working with an upcoming talent or someone who's been in the industry and now, you know, they're in their groove already. It's just like a different vibe. And I really enjoy that. Just like being more personal and helping someone out on that level. I feel like it's making more of a change.
So where do you see yourself like in 5 years from now?
5 years from now, oof. Well, I'll definitely still be an attorney. I did start a new company recently with some business partners. It's called Legal for Creatives, L4C, where we offer legal services at a low cost. So that would be one way around the crazy $100, $200 calls, where we offer like low cost subscriptions.
Kind of like legal Zoom, right? Like something.
Exactly, like a legal Zoom for creatives and for entrepreneurs and entertainers and talent. So I think I'll be like working more on that and a couple of other business ventures that I have like going on and starting up. But yeah, definitely being in the business and legal space.
Okay. So do you see yourself as a role model?
I hear that. I mean, I don't like think about myself like, oh my God, I'm a role model. But I do have a lot of people who are always like, oh, you inspire me, like law students, or like you inspire me to like, you know, go through this process and become an attorney and like go after my dreams. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah, for like, you know, people, younger women who want to be in the legal and business space.
And what's the biggest misconception about yourself that you think people have about you?
Honestly, I don't even know. I don't know.
You intimidate them?
Some people.
Yeah. Yeah, like.
But, yeah, I guess sometimes like I mean I'm very friendly, pretty smiley, but sometimes people will be like, oh, like you don't look approachable. But then once they approach me, I'm like very, you know, approachable. So I guess yeah, maybe that.
Nice. And if you can change something in your past, go back, do something different. Maybe from your experiences, just from passing a bar, what would you go back and make adjustments to?
You said passing the bar?
Yeah, or anything related to your journey to get you where you are today. Something you was like, dang, if I had did this, I wouldn't have maybe have struggled so much. Or maybe I would have projected myself, you know what I'm saying, maybe faster, sooner, or more efficiently.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I used to, I mean, I've been practicing 5 years now, but I used to regret like my high school journey a lot because like,
what'd you do?
nothing crazy, but so it's fun. Like you were talking about like, you know, like the gender roles and stuff. So I had this professor in like junior high who was always like, you spend too much time on, you know, your hair or your nails or whatever. And he was always like, if you spent that time on schoolwork, you would like be the best student or you would be this. And he would always like pick on me. I was like, what's your problem? So he was like, you can't, you know, like you're not going to make it to like this high school that I wanted to go to. It's like the best high school in Helsinki where I grew up in Finland. And he was like, you're not going to make it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to show you that I'm going to make it. So I did, in fact, make it. And he would always compare me to this girl who was like all about school, like a nerd, you know? And my grades were good, but he would always like make those comments. So like we both got into this high school, right? Me and the other girl. But when I got in, I felt like it was just kind of like to prove a point. And then I kind of like slacked off. And it was like, the program was like, it partnered with a lot of universities where you could have been on track to like go to Harvard or like certain schools, like automatically almost. Like if you did really good in those 3 years, like you would have a guaranteed spot in like Oxford or whatever. And I was just like not into it. I was like, I made it. I proved my point. You know, I was coasting. I was still doing my work, but I was not like motivated anymore. And I feel like I had like a really bad burnout in high school. So after that, I wanted to take time off and like work instead of going to college right away, and figure out where I wanted to study. Did I want to stay in Finland or did I want to go somewhere else? So I regretted like not taking it seriously at the time. Like I thought about it for probably like 5 to 10 years after that. But now I'm like, obviously it doesn't matter. Like I probably wouldn't be in LA had I taken that track, and I would probably be studying somewhere in England, or London or whatever. But that's like a regret that I had for a long time. But now I don't really see it as a regret. But that's probably like one thing I would have probably focused a little bit more. But yeah, it's not a regret. It's just something I used to think about a lot.
Okay. So like, as far as like personal life, we would like to dig deep, like single, married, what's the whole situation there, and balancing out being an attorney and all that. So how does that working out for you?
So for me, like I haven't been single in a very long time. So it's like being with someone like throughout the law school and college and all that stuff. I feel like that kind of like kept me grounded, because it's like hard to date in law school. So people would always be like, oh, like, you know, how can I go about like finding a partner? And like, I would tell them like, just wait until you're done, because I feel like it's hard to find someone when you're in such a crazy, like, you know, situation in your life. But I would say like, yeah, for me, like I like being in a relationship. So yeah, I've been
running with that. Like it was never a conflict of interest as far as your career and your personal life.
I would say like being with the right partner who kind of can understand a busy schedule is the main thing. Because like if you're dating someone in a very, very different industry or different life situation, it can be challenging. So just being with someone who understands the grind and the hustle.
Was there like a culture shock? Because obviously I'm pretty sure it's a lot different in Finland from, you know, coming to LA. Like you straight came to hell. You know what I mean? Like nothing to do with the other. So how was that like adjusting?
That's a good question. I mean, Finland is so different. It's 5 million people in the whole country, right? So it's really small. Most people in my age group kind of know each other, know of each other in Helsinki, in the capital. So just moving out here, I was young too. So moving out here, like everyone was against it. My parents were against it. I came out here with my friend, and it was a culture shock, because in Finland, whatever you say you're going to do, you're going to do. So like your word is your bond. Like There's no question about it. Out here, people are super flaky, kind of fake. So it's like you'll come out here. You'll come out here, and I was just like, you know, trusting everything. And like in the beginning, I was like trying to find a job, and people were just like trying to screw me over and like take advantage. And yeah, I just had to like learn to not really like trust people in the same way, not be as naive. But I think it's good, because like it built a thicker skin of just kind of like going out there and doing my own thing and like not relying on people too much. So I think it was like a blessing in disguise, kind of like not to rely on like help from anyone. So yeah, it was definitely a culture shock. Now, like, you know, 12 years later, it's home. I have a great group of friends and just people I hang out with. So I feel like in LA, like once you find your people and your niche and what you really want to do, it gets better. But it can definitely take a while.
Do you think it was a lot to do with the values that you had, you know, in Finland and all that was able to, you know, kind of situate yourself regardless of all the bullshit around you? Do you think that that's what kept you grounded in that aspect?
Definitely, because like, I mean, Finnish people are pretty like super straightforward, not really, you know, I wouldn't say Finnish people are like not super friendly. Like if you'd go to Finland, you'd be like, damn, people are so cold. It's kind of like a New York. People are just like about their own.
Do you guys drink a lot over there? Like, you know what I mean? You have to, right? Like, you got to stay warm, right?
Why does everyone say that? But yeah, definitely a lot of Finnish people like drink a lot of vodka. It's right next to Russia. So, you know, it's one of those places, yeah, where people drink a lot, most definitely. Honestly, people start drinking at like 13, 14, 15, like as teenagers. But yeah, so like just having like those like values of like being about your word and being honest and just, you know, being about your business. I feel like that helped because I came out here and I went out a lot and like saw a lot of stuff, like was in the mix when I first moved out here, but I was like, I want to do my own thing. I'm not going to be like, I didn't really care about seeing like the glitz and the glam. And I feel like for some of my friends, they were so like blinded by it. So they got lost from their own path and like they kind of got off track. But I was just like, no, like, you know, I want to do my own thing. I want to achieve these things. Like I want to get to a certain level. I don't care about what you have. I want to get it on my own. So I feel like, yeah, those values probably did help with just being more grounded.
So like when you lose your shit in this, you know, city, like what is one thing that kind of calms you down, especially being away, you know, so far from home? Like what is something that you do to kind of put yourself together? Because I'm pretty sure it might be hard, right? Being far away from family and friends and, you know, the whole 9 yards.
No, definitely. I would say like I was kind of telling you guys, like I'll like go to the nature. I'll go like by the beach, or I'll go
somewhere cold.
No,
let me connect, you know.
But like to like a meditative space, something calming where I can like journal or just like get my thoughts straight. Or it's like because like you said, like being an attorney is stressful on a day-to-day basis. So I just like need time sometimes to like just get my mind right and be like, okay, what do I really want? Like, what are my goals? Like, let's just get back to the basics, you know. And like you said, LA can be very destructive. So like I feel like for me, going out a lot and just like being out, drinking, being in the mix, being around a lot of people 24/7, that definitely like gets me off of my grind sometimes. Right. Yeah. So like I'll have to go inside myself and like not see a lot of people.
That's the Aquarius thing. You guys are friendly.
It is.
You guys are friendly for no reason. You're like
I'm friendly but not too friendly. Okay. So like I'm friendly if I know you. I'm not gonna be friendly with.
But I mean I think from that perspective you guys like the environment. Like you guys feed off of like you guys deliver the energy and kind of get that back. You know what I mean?
No, so you're right.
I could see that.
But definitely like I feel like when I'm around people too much, then I need to like go back to my like.
Give me back to your little bubble.
Yeah, and then like just not see people or talk to people like that often and just get my energy back. So I definitely do need to like re-energize as well.
That's awesome.
Now, in doing my research and preparation, like it was saying like, you know, the advantages of having an entertainment lawyer like in your corner can also open up doors of opportunity for you because you have access to the industry. Have you ever put someone in a position to where like they came to you with an idea and you was like, snaps, like y'all be a good parent. Let me connect you with that. Is that something that you commonly do?
Most definitely, yeah. So when I was like doing like specifically music, like that happened a lot because like say I worked on a deal for someone and I know that like an A&R was looking for a talent. I was like, oh my gosh, like yeah, like I know this upcoming kid, like my artist development company friends are working with him, like this might be a good fit. So like connecting people in the music industry, but now also like with the brand deals, I feel like that's a big thing because I do like fit tech deals, which is like, you know, like Mirror, Tonal and stuff like that. So I feel like just being or having represented people with those deals or fitness deals or whatever brands, it's then easier to put another talent on because I've already had the relationship with like a bigger company that might be looking for another content creator or influencer or talent, whatever. So yeah, definitely. Just like, yeah, making those deals and being in contact with people makes it a lot easier. So
you saying your virtual trainer, you get deals for them guys and girls? Like the Ally Loves from Peloton?
I haven't worked with Peloton, but Mirror and Tonal, I've like represented several coaches for their deals. Yeah.
So how does that work? Like, oh no, you gotta have to break that down, right? Because you know,
can't
like,
give no specifics now, but
wait, no. I get it, but like you know, especially where we're living out in NorCal, that's very common that people want to go into the fitness industry.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I'm in the fitness industry. I'm trying to get my feet wet. Like those guys partner with agencies and try to get deals. Just like, where do you come in? Like, how much clout do they have to have? Like, you know what I'm saying? That resume. Mm-hmm. Like, I can be like, yo, I just got cert. Yo, hook me up. Give me a deal.
So that's a good question. And most of them don't actually have agents or managers. Some do, most don't. But it's just about like getting exposure. So doing your thing and really putting yourself out there. So I'll have a client who, she has a pretty big following, I think like 80,000 followers. She started creating YouTube videos, like just pushing her own brand. So I feel like the people who like push their brand, get their trademarks, like just get their, whether it's like, you know, their video content or even like clothing or whatever, like whatever they're trying to do, just pushing their own brands out. And then like these companies will see that and they're like, oh, wow, you have a following, you're already doing stuff, you have a platform, you're putting content out, you have people looking at you and following you. That will get their interest and that will get you more stuff as a fitness trainer coming your way. So I've definitely seen that the people who are really about their brand and their business get better deals, get more compensation. And it's more lucrative when you're like focused on your own brand.
And what I also found was that not most of the times, but it's not out of the ordinary for your legal representative in entertainment to also manage you. Do you do that, or do you offer that, or how does that work for you?
So for me, no, I work with a couple artist development companies who I do business management for, this is more so in the music space, not so much in the other talent space. But I won't manage, but I'll put them in touch with the artist development companies and they'll have their managers. But for me, it's like a time constraint. I can't really have time to manage. Managing an artist is a lot of work. A lot of time and a lot of energy. So for me personally, I don't do that. I know some attorneys, a few do. I know some attorneys who manage like influencers, content creators, and I feel like that is a little bit easier. So I do provide like business consultations for some of my influencer clients who are a little unsure of whether they want to work with an agent or a manager. But for me, I personally don't do it, but I'll refer. A lot of people actually like send me music and I'll send them over to like A&Rs and the artist development companies where I can.
Now you said they send you music. I want you to, but tell me about them times where you were like, yo, this is trash. I'm not sending this nowhere.
I don't say that. I send it over. Sometimes, if it's terrible, I won't. But honestly, I don't always even listen to it. I'll just like send it over and I'll let them make the call.
You want no smoke on that. Huh?
But sometimes I'll definitely hear, some like interesting stuff. I'm like, but sometimes it'll be good, and I'll be like, okay, there's potential
this
here.
Will work. I'll buy to this.
Yeah. But it's like one of like my Instagram videos went kind of like viral, and I don't know if they marketed me as a manager, but after that I started getting a lot of music and just like pitches in my inbox. I'm like, can you manage me? And I'm just like, I try to help people where I can, but I don't do management.
And then being so busy and doing and being involved in what you actually do for a living, how do you prioritize everything? You know what I'm saying? Is it, and I'm not saying it like that, but your biggest money makers, they get your priority, and then those who are on the bottom end of the scale, like, I get to you when I get to you. You know what I'm saying? Because from the outside looking in, it's like when we need something, I need it right now.
Everyone needs it right now. Everyone's business is the most important.
Right. So what do you do? What's your method of prioritizing your day and your clients?
So for me, I wouldn't say it's like based on the money. It's more based on like the need and the timeline. So that's something I learned from litigation. So litigation, it's like, you have your court deadlines, your specific deadlines. Transactional work is a little different because you might have a deal, you take your time to look over it. You know that you might have a deadline in like 2 weeks or a month, but there's a little more leeway there than litigation where it's like the court determines the dates. For me, it's like, okay, if I know that this deal needs to close in a week, then that's the priority. If we have something that, is not as time sensitive, then that's gonna, not be as important. So I just try to base it up based on what's the most important deal, like time wise, where the deal is at that point or where the client's needs are, like with the deal's timeline.
For sure. And do you got an assistant? Are you handling it on your own? Obviously, you got. That's probably a dumb question. I'm sorry, guys, but like you got somebody helping you, right?
Yeah. I have a legal secretary and an assistant. And I do also like work with contract attorneys. So like I have a couple contract attorneys who work under me, and then they'll assist with certain things. But I'm trying to build a team now because it's a lot of work and I can't like oversee everything. So trying to build a bigger team.
So speaking of that, like a team and all that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I like he said, I've been in court a lot of times for no reasons I want to discuss in this podcast. But like relationships do mean a lot, right, within the court system. So one, how do you how is that relationship obviously within the court system? And then two, like how do you teach that? How do you implement your team? Because I'm pretty sure you probably have some like weirdos like or some nerds that like are new to it, and you kind of have to. I mean, you could be very smart, whatever, but if you don't have the personality, the charisma to, you know, speak to people that want a, you know, skirt all the way to your knees, you know what I mean? Because that, you know, that's a special person. Is that if they require certain type of presentation? So I'm pretty sure that might be kind of hard. So how do you deal with that?
Like with the team?
With the team and as far as like your personal relationship within the court system, like how did you develop it, and what were some of the things that you had to deal with as far as being new to you know, the legal system?
So I externed for a judge. So that means that like I worked for him for the summer. I did legal research. I watched the cases. I talked to him about why he decided what he decided on cases, and he did all business litigation. So it was super interesting just to kind of like get a piece of his mind and like why he would make certain decisions and rulings. And I kind of kept in touch with him. I continued working for him here and there. So I would say that was like one of my biggest relationships in the court system. So just learning a lot from him, like hearing him, you know, speak on different topics and stuff. But I would say in the courtroom, it's also very important to have good relationship with like your opposing counsel. So I don't really go to court much anymore, but just having that good rapport with certain counsel where it's like you don't want to be argumentative or nasty for no reason. So, you know, like if you have a good relationship with certain attorneys, you can just get on the call, try to resolve it without even like doing the formal process. So I feel like that makes it easier. Like when you have, you know, you've worked on certain cases, you know, you work with certain law firms. So now you can call an associate or a partner at the law firm and be like, hey, you know, I'm representing such and such. Can we get on a call and like try to hash it out before even, you know, going the formal route? So I would say that just like keeping those relationships up and keeping those lines of communication open. As far as the team goes, I'm pretty controlling with that. So I feel like
Stop being weird.
And that's like my one of my like, you know, negative traits, but I don't really want to give all the authority to someone who's like working under me, and I do kind of micromanage certain aspects of it. So I want the drafts of the emails before they go out to a client, and I just want to kind of control it before it goes out, just to make sure that it's, you know, in alignment with what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, you put in the work, you know what I mean? You developed the relationships, and once again, I'm pretty sure it's not easy being a woman in this industry.
It's not.
So you have to, you know, kind of take care of and protect your, you know, your reputation.
Yeah.
And obviously them working under you, they're representing you in a sense, right? So I'm pretty sure that can be a little touchy.
Yeah, definitely. So I try to control it where I can, and then just handle like the bigger things myself.
Nice.
So now this brings me to another question, right? So control freak, right? We already talked about the meditation, right? Listening to music, journaling, whatever it is. So when something, in your opinion, has an appearance of not being in your grasp, what do you do? Because I think you have a hard time probably dealing with things that don't have the predicted outcome that you expected them to have. So what are you doing to, like, you know what? Let me get back to me. Let's review this. Yeah, because that's funny that you say that, because I can see that. That's why when he was like, "Oh, you're friendly. You're just giving out these positive vibes," and I'm like, "Nah," because like you know, to me, in my opinion, like you have this instructor like type thing, and it's, look, I'm teaching you the right way. And the way I'm teaching you is going to make you prosperous, and it's going to help you develop you in long term. But you got to do it my way. So how do you get over that?
I'm working on it, honestly, because I feel like, I just like to control everything in my life, and you can't always control it. And I've learned it, like, you know, in the past few years. I feel like I've just had like things happen in my personal life where it's like you can't control everything. So I'm learning how to let things go and just accepting what comes to me. In personal life, in work life, I'm still working on that. So I haven't found a solution yet. But
you're still smacking them.
But I mean, I try to be, you know, an understanding boss. I've read some books about it. My mom was like in a leadership role. She had like 300 people working under her. So like, you know, tried to kind of learn different routes of not being too assertive or not being too demanding, and trying to work with the individual. And communication is key, in my opinion.
And speaking of that, who's your role model? Or who's that person that you reach out to, and especially when you're having a rough day, like who puts you together?
I would say definitely my mom is like my role model in like the business and like just like, you know, life and just handling certain things in a good way. And yeah, then I just like, you know, bounce off a lot of ideas like with my friends, my man, my sister, and just getting perspective. But yeah, I would say like meditating too, and just like being in my own thoughts and being like trying to process. Like I'm a big thinker, so I'm just like always trying to like process different outcomes and just think about, you know, different ways of doing things. But I would say, yeah, my mom is definitely like one of my role models.
Nice.
Now, you said your mom's from
Finland.
and your dad is from
Nigeria.
How did that happen? Tell us that story.
So yeah, it is interesting. So I mean, Nigeria is very far from Finland. It's, you know, in West Africa. most Nigerians definitely don't go to Finland. But so my dad's brother, my uncle, had gotten a scholarship in his, I think his like 20s, early 20s, to study in Finland in this random town, like 5 hours from the capital. So he was studying there. My mom was studying. They were both in university, and they met in university. So my uncle went first, and then he brought his brother.
Nice.
He applied for the same scholarship, and then my dad moved, and they met in university. And
What it do, right? Like for that.
the rest is history.
Yeah.
Here I go.
But it is
Here I am.
very random.
Right.
But I will say, like in the 80s, like a lot of, like not a lot, but some African men moved to Finland and other Scandinavian countries, and you know.
What culture are you more in tune with? The Finland or the other side?
Finland or the Finnish culture. I would say now American culture a little bit, because I've been here for 12 years, like my adult years. But I would say definitely more of the Finnish side than the Nigerian, just because I've only been to Nigeria once, and I haven't met all of my Nigerian family members, which I'm like planning to do hopefully this year or next year. So I'm not super familiar with the culture. I had my cousins and my aunt and my uncle living in Finland when I was growing up, but still I'm not super immersed in the Nigerian culture. So definitely like the Finnish culture is more familiar to me.
Nice. Any like cool traditions that like you guys have in Finland?
Well, Santa Claus is from Finland.
Right? No, yeah.
We have like
yeah.
From like the North Pole, you know.
Well, that settles that.
But yeah, I would say like it's just I feel like like the Christmas traditions. It's like very, you know, like Christmas is big in Finland. We have midsummers, which is so like the sun doesn't set in the summer because it's so close to the North Pole. So it's like literally light 24 hours a day.
That's
so
harsh.
Yeah, for the average person. Yeah.
So you're at the club in the daytime?
Yeah. It's like light when you come outside, literally for like a week or two. Or even more, like a month.
It's disturbing, right? Like it kind of messes with your mind, right?
A little, yeah. If you don't have curtains, it's hard to sleep. But it's cool too, because it's like, you know, you're outside and it's light and it's night, but it's light outside.
Oh, shit.
Dope.
That's dope.
Hey, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is we're coming to the end of our show. All right. And as always open up the microphones and the table to our guests and our co-hosts, the other half of the show, to share any things, parting words with the listeners and the viewers. All right. And this opportunity, I'm going to allow our special guest today. Is there anything you would like to share and leave with those who are watching, who are listening?
Well, we already touched upon it a little bit, but legal representation is really important. So, you know, just find an attorney who will work with you. Just ask your questions. Just do it the right way, like from the get-go. And other than that, I would say, like we talked about manifestation, I feel like you can manifest anything you want in life. I've manifested my whole life of like coming to America and all that stuff. So I definitely, you know, encourage everyone to just go after their dreams and create what you want, be what you want, do what you want. Anything is possible.
GQ Nesto.
So first off, I want to thank all of our listeners and, you know, people watching. Thank you for all the support. You know, please follow, comment, all the above. And also, I think one thing we learned in this episode was you don't have to be ugly to be heard. You know what I mean? Dress up nice. You know what I mean? Let's change the trend. You know what I mean? I think it's important, to have some self appreciation. And, if you can't do it, the world's not going to do it for you. So, don't shy away from that. Obviously dress to impress, and, especially for all the ladies out there, be a boss lady. You know what I mean? Simple as that. Carry that with pride and honor. So
I feel like be you, like do your thing. Like don't let other people tell you that you can
100%.
or cannot do something.
100%.
And as always, I'm always, me, I'm a God-fearing man. All things are possible with the Most High. I'm your boy, Drew. We are Option Forward. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's collab again. Let's talk again. We love you. We thank you. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, like GQ Nesto said. And we love you. We thank you for all the support. See you guys next time. Peace.